Okay guys, welcome to part 5 of this editing tutorial. This is the footage enhancing, and the only enhancement I'm going to talk about is usually 99% of the time the only one I use, which is the levels filter here. And that typically I just use to boost the brightness of clips, and indirectly that typically tends to saturate my clips as well if needed. I love a saturated clip, so anything that appears dull to me I usually end up trying to change. I'm highlighted over poor Scotty Mac here, hung over on the top of the Highlands Bowl hike when we were in Aspen. We had a super powder day and we forced him to come up with us. But you can see this nice bright white vivid snow. I have the levels filter turned on, and if I turn that off, you're going to see that that shot was actually pretty damn dark and gray because of the snowstorm barreling down on us. So I would use this levels filter, which if I click here, looks advanced. I used to avoid this thing because I didn't know what it was as a kid using like the first Photoshops. But essentially you're dealing with all your whites on this side and all your blacks on this side. So up here you'll see that the first blip's kind of like an audio waveform of the light inside this photo. This is my white starting to peak. So here there's essentially no true whites. The first real white starts where this little spike begins. So here's your preview. That's what our original shot looked like. I'll just simply slide the white up until I match that component, knowing I've hit true white. Any further and you're going to crush the whites. There you can see you're losing everything. And sometimes that brings up your blacks too much, so you can do a little tweak of bringing blacks down just the slightest bit. Here I wouldn't want to, because you can see Scott's helmet's already true black. You can't go any darker than that, so there's no point to crush. So that's easy. Super example of just how you can boost. I think I did it for all these shots, wherever our hike started. Okay, so what I would do is, if this is my first, did I use levels there? Nope, didn't use levels. Here we go. So if this is the hike here, and I know all of these clips following are also the hike, I would just copy this, filter, select the rest of the clips, minus this, and then paste insert or bulk paste. It would put that filter onto all the other hiking clips. I know the elements haven't changed, the terrain and weather didn't change, so for the most part that level filter will be good for all the rest. And it changes slightly, but the clips go by so fast you can't really tell. And that's all I use. Let me find another example for you. Okay guys, so here's another example in the Aspen X Games video. Mountain range shot. Same thing for our group shot here, panning up. I'll show you both of these have a filter applied, and if I click off you're going to see almost no change at all. And that's how little of editing I would do to my clips in post. It's just the slightest brightening of the whites to get that gray element out and give a little more pop to a nice sunny day. But again, my main rule, always shoot when it's blue sky and the sun's out, will usually get your footage looking the best. So a lot of my blue sky mountain clips, I was going through checking here to see where I added a filter. I'd say 85% of the clips I didn't put a filter on because I didn't need it, because the blue and the GoPro already came out really saturated and pure. And here again, I'll just take off the filter, put on the filter, on, off, on, or off, on. And you can see just the slightest difference. You know, if I really ruin this, you can see how it goes up and down real quick and doesn't look realistic. So you're typically only moving this scale a few numbers back and forth, about 10 on the white scale down here. And I guess easier would be image control. You guys might be typically used to just the brightness and contrast options. But anyway, you see how minimal that is? It's to keep it simple, stupid rule. Don't get into too much distraction. Simple effects. Keep that clip as pure as you can. Okay, so I've used the term KISS, keep it simple, stupid, meaning easier is always better than getting too technical and out of your element. I also use the saying classy versus trashy. So always keep it classy, don't get trashy. And if you see here, this will be the same for 100% of my video edits. I'm rarely using any dissolves at all. I'm doing straight cut of clip back to back to back to back to back. And again, waveform, I've mentioned 100 times, decides what's going on with the clips. Most of my beats are so fast I don't really have time to put a transition in anyway, from clip to clip. And I'm going to play you this now just as an example. You'll see just nice quick cuts, clip to clip to clip, no transitions. Okay, beat picks up and clips get going quicker. Okay, you get the point there. No need for transitions. Down at the very beginning here would be probably the most artsy I ever get, is using the push or wipe feature. That logo is not loaded right now. To actually give, you know, moving graphics on screen. I feel this is just a better look for the beat because it's you'll hear it here. Now I could have opted for dissolve in, dissolve out, but I didn't. I'm using actual flying logos across the screen. That's again the most advanced I would ever get. And now I'm going to show you just the idea of a clean cut versus a my only other two transitions that I use here are in the dissolves category, cross dissolve or a dip to black dissolve. And then again, you can get carried away into these wipes. Clock wipe is one of them you can use where you're wiping. It just kind of brings down the quality of your cut. You don't want to get into too much gimmicky preset transition kits or anything. Radar wipes, you get all sorts of ugly Venetian blinds option down here. Actually, that actually doesn't look too bad. Maybe I should get into this a little deeper myself. But normally, I keep it super simple. All class, simple cuts back to back to back. If I need to, I'm dissolving in and out with a cross dissolve. Right, blending both clips into each other. And my favorite is a dip to black, because it kind of resets the eye to reset the content for the next clip. Dip to black, back out. Dip to black, back out. And if I do them all this way, you see it usually is the only one that doesn't take away from the effect of the edit. You know, it doesn't distract the eye. Let's see how this looks. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, that's the idea of classy. Not getting too crazy there. If we take these back and let's find a super ugly transition here. Zigzag blocks, whatever that is. Alright, so this is dip to black compared to zigzag block transition. Chop, 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 chop. Just breaks up the clip, breaks up the flow. You don't want to use it. So when in doubt, don't use any transitions. When you have to, keep them simple. Don't get distracted by all these crazy options on the side here, or whatever default transitions come with your editing program. Now, of course, that being said, like I mentioned way earlier, every rule is meant to be broken when you want to break it. This is the exact opposite example of me breaking all the rules using the cheesiest transitions for my Lululemon Ambassador Summit video. We did an 80s day. I picked an 80s song and I wanted to make it as retro as possible. So we'll play this. You'll see how it works perfectly and perfectly balances the defense of anything works as long as you can pull it off and make it perfect on screen. And that's it, guys. Kiss, keep it simple, stupid, classy over trashy. And we're done with that. Moving on to number 6 is our audio. I call it audio, oh God, because just when you think you're done, you now have to give up on the visuals and now get your ear more in tune for what's going on with your audio tracks. All down here, all the audio of the clips that we've, for now, up until this point, ignored. So let's move on to that.